We released our 1 to 24s in the Championship over the Not the Top 20 feed, and we had Wrexham in 18th position. Now, this is quite interesting because I think that's probably seen in some quarters as a relatively negative prediction. I think a lot of Wrexham fans who've experienced promotion from the National League to League 2 to League 1 probably expect that the club will be promoted into the Championship and compete at the top end again. Some of those may be possibly newer fans to Wrexham, whereas I think some will understand that the quality in the Championship and the gap between League 1 and League 1 and the Championship means that it's quite hard to continue the ascent up the tables. We have seen it before. Sunderland came up through the playoffs and then immediately got into the top 6. Ipswich Town, of course, came second in League 1 and then came second in the Championship afterwards. But I have a feeling, and we have a feeling, that for Wrexham next season, consolidation in the Championship would be maybe a job well done. I've got a few concerns that I'm going to outline now. One of them is Phil Parkinson, the manager, who's of course done an incredible job at the club. Of course, the financial power that Wrexham have had have helped him, but as a manager, it's not easy to win 3 back-to-back promotions, and Parkinson has done that. His record, though, in the second tier is really quite concerning. I think a points per game of 0.82, 150 odd games managed, only 26 wins, and a goal difference of minus 115. Now, the reasons for that could be multiple. My hunch is that it's generally because he's taken on sides in the Championship and taken them up out of League 1, and they've been one of the poorer teams in the division going into the campaign. But also it's possibly a style of play concern, where we know that with Parkinson, it's relatively kind of low press, low energy, low block, and quite attritional. And I think you've got to be really good defensively to pull that off against better attackers. And I think we'll likely see a similar defensive unit for Wrexham going into this upcoming season, who are really good League 1 defenders. But whether that translates when you come up against strikers who are worth 8-10 million rather than max maybe $1 million, $2 million, we'll have to see. So I would temper that a little bit by saying that I think if Parkinson struggles, then the financial clout of Wrexham means that if they were to replace him, they'd probably get quite an impressive appointment. But right now, just a few concerns around his suitability for the job. Now, in terms of recruitment, I think Wrexham have made some really good signings in par. I think Lewis O'Brien is probably the standout one. He's somebody who has been a central cog in midfield at the top end of the Championship in the past. I think he's someone whose energy and on-ball qualities will massively lift what Wrexham have had there in the past. I like George Thomason, who's an all-action midfielder as well. I think his energy as well might mean that we see Wrexham be a little bit more expansive in terms of the way that they play out of possession, albeit, as I say, we know Parkinson doesn't necessarily like his players to be employing a particularly high press. Ryan Hardy's someone that can offer goals at this level too. The Connor Cody situation is one that I'm less smitten on. I don't think we've seen a particularly high level of performance from Cody for a couple of years. I think he has to play a really specific role. What I would say is I think that Cody playing as the central defender in a back 3 is where he thrives, especially for a team who like to go from back to front relatively quickly because his long range passing is so good. And we know, or we're told a lot, that he's a very good character. I'm just not convinced he's necessarily a great defender anymore, and certainly defending on the turn seems to be a weakness of his. And then Liberato Kachachi, the player in from Empoli, we'll have to wait and see. Obviously comes with really glowing reports and very versatile, but we don't know enough about him. Now, we're often asked when we do these 1 to 24s, and I should also mention, of course, Josh Windass, who clearly has proven quality at Championship level. Now, we're often asked when we do these pods, when a signing comes in, a fan will say to us, you did this before the signing was made, does he change your mind? And realistically, the answer is normally no. Like, success rate of transfers is pretty low. The chances are that a player comes in, even if you're excited, may not be that good. And even if they are good, how much of a material impact can we predict it's going to have on a team's points tally? What I would say is the rumoured arrival of Nathan Broadhead and the rumoured arrival of Kiefer Moore probably would move the needle a little bit. Like, Kiefer Moore is as good as it gets in my mind as a target man at this level. He's someone who is so dominant in the air, but rather than just being something to aim at and somebody who can win the aerial duels, he's also a good goal scorer too, and I think would score a lot of goals in this team. And Broadhead's someone who starred for that Ipswich side that came second in the Championship a couple of seasons ago, versatile across the front line, and also another good finisher too. There are a lot of players in this Wrexham side looking through especially the striking options, and that in itself may not be a negative, but I do think this could be a season where we're going to see a lot of the players who maybe can't make the step up from League 1 to the Championship exposed and then moved on and replaced by players of the likes of the quality of Broadhead, Moore, Windass, O'Brien, Thomason. So as I say, for a team that came second last season, and we should point out here that a key reason why we had them relatively low down was because there were some red flags in the underlying numbers. The XG data wasn't great for Wrexham last season. They won a lot of games by a solitary goal and really reliant on that clean sheet record. And with a Quancro in goal, I think we can anticipate they should have one of the best shot stoppers in goal. But a safe finish away from the relegation zone in relatively mid-table, albeit 18th, might be a bit lower than that, isn't a bad first season, and wouldn't be a bad platform for Wrexham to go on and kick on and compete to the top end after that. I've got a feeling quite a lot of Wrexham fans disagree, but we have them currently placed in 18th.